Hello and welcome to Train Signal. You're watching A+ Essentials Personal Computers Part 1. This is part of Train Signal Fast Track CBT video, CompTIA A+. In this video, our overall goal is just to help you understand the fundamentals of personal computers. We'll talk about topics like what is a PC, what makes up a PC. We'll learn about storage devices, system boards, hard drives, cases, power supplies, CDs, DVDs, floppy drives, tapes, all sorts of components that make up the personal computer. Alright, first let's talk about the specific A+ exam objective that we're covering in this video. We'll be covering exam objective 1.1. Now that says that you should be able to identify the fundamental principles of using personal computers. That includes floppy disk drives, hard disk drives, CDs, DVDs, rewritable drives, recordable storage, USB drives, USB connectors, external CD-ROM drives, thumb drives, flash drives, form factors of motherboards and cases, components that go into a computer like sound cards, video cards, modems, memory slots, processor slots, bus architecture, bus slots, IDE or serial SATA drives, SCSI technology, chipsets, BIOS, riser cards, daughter boards, and you should be able to identify the names, purposes, and characteristics of power supplies. Wow, that's a lot. We have a lot of exciting topics to learn in this video, and we'll be covering again Objective 1.1 of the A+ Essentials exam. So first off, let me start with a little quiz. Which one of these is a PC? Well, you've got option A, the laptop. This is the laptop right here. You've seen a laptop before. A portable computer set on your lap, carry around with you, has its own built-in battery. Is that a personal computer? Well, let's move on before we answer. Option B, the box, I call it. Here's this big box right here. Some people call it the CPU, some people call it the PC, some people call it my system, different names for it. But basically this is the box that sits under your desk and everything connects to. Then there's option C, which is over here. This is the monitor, flat screen LCD monitor. Is that a PC? Option D, I just called it the whole thing. So here you have a Mac. Is that Mac a PC, by the way? You've got a printer, you've got a keyboard, mouse, there's even an iPod there. Is that a PC? And my point of this little quiz is PC is such a generic term. So many people use it differently. You can't go around correcting people's use of the word PC or their improper use of calling a PC something else. Unless you're the manager and that person works for you. But when it comes to supporting end users and helping them with their PCs, they may or may not call the right thing a PC. Now, to answer your question, technically all three of these right across here, you could call PCs, personal computers. You could call the laptop a personal computer. It is a form of personal computer. It happens to be a portable computer with a built-in battery and a built-in monitor. But yeah, it is a personal computer. Most people, though, call it a laptop or a notebook. They differentiate it in that way. This box, I called it the box, is definitely a personal computer. That's the original, sort of definition of what a personal computer. This exemplifies what a personal computer is. It's the box, and I'm going to show you everything that's inside that box. Down here, the Mac. Is the Mac a personal computer? A lot of people would jump up and be in arms about, oh no, a Mac is not a personal computer. Well, technically it is a form of personal computer. It is a computer, and the new Macs even have Intel chips and can even run Windows. So it's hard to say anymore that a Mac isn't a form of personal computer. Now, is a Mac the same thing as a Dell or HP personal computer? No. It's made by a different company, but they're all forms of personal computers. Now, the only really wrong answer in this is this one down here, the monitor. The monitor is not a personal computer. Now there are some monitors that in the back of them, they actually have a full personal computer kind of hung on the back or built in the back. I've even seen keyboards that have personal computers built into them. But technically, that's the only wrong answer in this little quiz, is the monitor is not a personal computer. All right, so what is a personal computer? Let's talk more about that. We'll spend this whole video talking about personal computers. But what really is a personal computer? Many people think they know what a PC is, but there's so many misunderstandings of the term. A personal computer, or PC, is a system of components that work together just like the human body. A PC is computer hardware, not the operating system or the applications. And there's a lot of components that make up a personal computer, just like my comparison of a personal computer to the human body. The human body has a heart, a brain, lungs, kidneys, all these different things that are required to make the body work. And without many of those components, there's very few redundant components in the human body. So without any one of those, typically the body is in trouble. Same thing with the PC. There's so many components that make up a PC. And I've listed out some of those components down here. The motherboard, the processor, the CPU, the memory, the storage, the power supply, video card, input devices, adapter card, ports, cables, and the cooling of the PC, typically the fan. So all these things make up the PC. And let me point out that PCs are modular, meaning modules can be taken in and out. Pieces of what make up a PC can commonly be replaced with other pieces. Now what that means is, say I buy this box over here, this one right here. I buy this Dell PC, and later I want to replace the RAM, or maybe the RAM goes bad. I can open up the PC and I can replace it. Same thing with the hard drive. The hard drive goes bad, or I want a bigger hard drive, I can open up the case and replace it. When I say modular, that's what I'm talking about. It's a modular computer. Now, some computers aren't that modular. Pieces of them cannot be replaced, or there's only one or two pieces that can be replaced. An example might be a laptop. It's not very modular. You can replace the RAM, but that may be about it. There's not many really upgrades you can do, or modules that can be easily swapped out on a laptop. All right, so we talked about what is a PC. Let's look a little bit more at a diagram of a PC to help us understand all the parts that make up this personal computer. So here we have a diagram, and you see this tan square down here. This is the box, and the box is a technical term. That's a joke. An untechnical term for the case, right? This is the computer case. And inside that case, though, are all the components that make up the PC. So we've shown some of the components that make up this PC here by kind of showing you what they look like if they were pulled out of the computer case a little bit. So the motherboard in this case goes on the back side over here. So you can see we've kind of slid the motherboard out. And up here on the motherboard are some different components that make up the personal computer. There's the CPU, or the microprocessor, right here. There's the main memory, or the RAM. That's these chips here. And then there's expansion cards that stick out of the slots on the side of the motherboard. So that motherboard slides in and screws in inside this case. Then there's the power supply. This is the power supply here. Slides in and goes in right there. This is what converts the AC power from your electrical outlet. It plugs into the electrical outlet out the back here into DC power and powers all the components inside the motherboard, or inside the computer, I should say. Then here we have the optical disk drive. This is the CD-ROM or DVD drive. We've slid out and it would slide back in right there. Then there's the hard disk drive, or the HDD, typically called the hard drive. It's right here. We're going to go into more detail on hard drives, but it slides right back in the computer there. So you get the idea of how all these different components go in this case, and how all these different components typically are modular, meaning the power supply goes out. Well, I just replace the power supply, or I upgrade the power supply with a more powerful power supply. So that's how a modular computer works. That's how the components go inside the case. Then you have some other pieces that are required really to make up or to make a PC usable. Um, Really, all this over here, this is the personal computer. But without a monitor, you're not going to be able to see what's going on with the personal computer. So although the monitor technically is not a component of the personal computer, it's a separate component called a monitor that hooks up to the personal computer. Still, it's a required piece for you to be able to see what's going on. Now, sometimes there's servers and data centers that don't have monitors on them. They hook them up. They hook up a monitor once. They configure the server. They disconnect the monitor, and then the server just keeps on running. So that's why I say it's not always required, but 99% of the time it is. Then there's the keyboard and the mouse, and those are shown right here. So these are your input devices. These are peripherals, they call them, or add-ons, sort of, that hook up to the personal computer over here. So technically they're not required, but 99% of the time you got to have a keyboard and a mouse to interact with the PC. So those are the different components of the PC. And again, this is a generalization because there's a lot more that makes up this entire computer system. There's the cables, there's the power supply. Inside the case, there's other components. There's the cables that connect the keyboard and mouse back to the computer. There's a lot more to it than this. But this is our general working diagram for a personal computer system.